wasn't supposed to be like this. The Knicks, the team that beat, battered, sometimes bullied their way to the best record in the East, now stand just 48 minutes away from watching the struggle, the hunger, the passion come to an end. Now the man whose sheer force of will drove this team so far, so fast, must inspire them once again.
Maybe this is the most defining moment of this team's life.
Just moments ago, in one locker room, you know Pat Riley hammered home what's at stake. In another locker room, the Chicago Bulls heard a message much the same. We're about to find out whose words ring true.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1993 NBA playoffs. Tonight, Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls.
It is a rain-swept 47-degree day in the Windy City on a stormy day in Chicago in more ways than one. Another Michael Jordan gambling story has emerged full scale by virtue of the release of the new book alleging Jordan has lost more than $1 million in gambling on golf games back in 1991. And this is the scene just over an hour ago with Michael Jordan entering Chicago Stadium, passing on the normal players' entrance, taking a side route. And we welcome you. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. Well, about a week to the day after Michael Jordan's notorious journey to Atlantic City was first revealed, a golfing partner of Jordan's released a book claiming that Jordan lost, to be precise, $1.25 million in golf bets to him in September of 1991. Again, raising the question of a gambling problem, a problem that Michael denies. He did release this statement late this afternoon. He said, after much deliberation, I have decided to interrupt my media silence and respond to yesterday's reports. I have played golf with Richard Esquinas with wagers made between us. Because I did not keep records, I cannot verify how much I won or lost. I can assure you that the level of our wagers was substantially less than the preposterous amounts that have been reported. It is extremely disappointing to me that an individual whom I caused no harm and who held himself out as my friend would shamelessly exploit my name for selfish gain. Now, Mike, how does this affect Jordan and his teammates? Obviously, earlier in the week, when the Atlantic City news came out, there was no effect at all.
Marv, there's an individual that can handle this thing, that has the inner toughness, the mental toughness to deal with it, put it behind him, and concentrate on the most important thing, which is winning a basketball game for the Chicago Bulls. It is Michael Jordan. He is a unique individual. As far as his teammates, I spoke with a number of them down in the locker room a while ago, and to a man, they each said they've paid no attention to this incident. It's just one more thing that's come up along the way that could be a distraction as they try to win their third championship in a row. So if there's anything that has to be dealt with, they feel after the season's the time, not now.
And for Pat Riley and the Knicks, it is now desperation time. The Knicks win the first two games of the series in New York. Chicago comes roaring back with 3 straight wins to nullify home court advantage. How does Pat Riley approach tonight's game?
There's an old rule of the river, you know. Yeah, you ever do some whitewater rafting, and when you fall overboard, you have to become an active participant in your own rescue. And I think that's what this is all about. We have to become actively involved in this rescue.
Very philosophical.
Well, Pat Riley and the Knicks team understand the urgency of the situation. You play all season, win 60 games to have home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference Series, and then suddenly by losing Game 5, you realize that if you do not win this Game 6, the season's over. You go home. There is no tomorrow. And one little thing they did differently from their routine, today they had a shoot around the New York Knicks, but no coaches were there. It was a players-only situation for team unification.
So once again, it will be Michael Jordan facing John Starks with the season on the line for the New York Knicks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Chicago Bulls welcome the world's greatest fans to the Chicago Stadium. Tonight's Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals is between the New York Knicks and your Chicago Bulls. Now for tonight's lineups. First for the visiting New York Knickerbockers. And forward from Pittsburgh, 6'10" Charles Smith. A 6'9" forward from Virginia Union, Charles Oakley. At center, 7 foot from Georgetown, Patrick Ewing. And one guard from Oklahoma State, 6'5", John Starks. And the other guard, 6'4", from Marquette, Glenn Doc Rivers. The New York Knicks are coached by Pat Riley, assisted by Jeff Gundy, Dick Arthur, the trainer, Mike Saunders.
First consecutive sellout here at Chicago Stadium, responding to Ray Clay's introduction of the Chicago Bulls. And while we have a moment, let's check in with Ahmad Rashad and Hannah Storm. First, here's Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. I was down in the Bulls locker room, very loose locker room, but the key word was focus. I've never seen this team so focused, and Michael Jordan in particular. I talked to him about all these allegations. He told me that these kind of things can do one or two things to you. They can either make you stronger or they can crush you. And he said, I am not the kind of guy that crushes easily. Anna?
Ahmad, the Knicks are uptight. They have done everything they can to avoid the media today. That's another reason they held that unofficial practice that Mike was referring to earlier. And they arrived late at Chicago Stadium, about a half hour later than uniform, and in full dress. This is the same thing they did after their altercation in Phoenix when they went to the LA Forum on March 26th. As for the injury situation, Charles Oakley, the ring finger of his right hand is shooting hand. He has a jammed knuckle. That's the official word on that injury. And if you'll notice, he has the 2 fingers taped on that hand. Let's go to Marvin Mike.
Thank you, Hannah. The Knicks did not work out yesterday. Pat Riley said it's all about conserving energy at this point. How do you see the Knicks coming out here tonight?
I don't think there's any question that they're going to come out tonight with a lot of fire, a tremendous amount of physical play. The officials will determine a lot early in the game on how it's going to be allowed to play. But New York wants to get after them, be the aggressor instead of being the catcher.
Nick O'Donnell, Jess Kersey, and Bennett Salvatore are the officials. The Knicks controlling the opening kick. Ewing getting position for the jump hook. So the Knicks off to the 2-0 lead. And the question concerning the Bulls, will it be Michael Jordan, the playmaker, or Michael Jordan, the scorer, at least here at the start?
Well, in their pre-game seance that Michael seems to have with Ahmad.
Seance?
For every game, as BJ hits a little floater down the lane, Michael said that tonight he was going to come out, try and get his teammates involved, but if he felt it wasn't going well that way, he'd do whatever it took to win this basketball game. If I have to score 50, score 50, he said.
We saw the light pressure shown by Chicago. Charles Smith with a 4-2 Knick lead. So Charles Smith, last seen by fans across the country with the 4 attempts underneath that did not drop, able to hit on his first field goal attempt. Scottie Pippen coming off an outstanding game in New York on Wednesday. Puts the move on and then lost it. Rivers picks it up. Rivers avoiding Pippen, finding Oakley. Open shot. Rebound, Michael Jordan. Jordan with the pull-up. And a loose ball foul against the Knicks.
Loose ball foul, Chicago.
Check that. Horace Grant called for the foul.
The guy who was the key on the boards for him in game number 5, Grant, a terrific offensive rebounder. You got to keep a body on him, keep him away from the offensive board. That time, Clark with the push-off.
The Knicks with a 4-2 lead as John Starks hears the boos from the crowd as he sets up against Michael Jordan. Doc Rivers, played by B.J. Armstrong. And the foul this time is called against the Knicks. Charles Smith trying to squeeze his way inside and was called for flashing the right hand. The last 3 games, Smith has been an early foul difficulty.
Well, there's no question that he was going to come out tonight and be very aggressive after missing the shots at the end of the game, receiving the criticism that he's received because, as some people felt, he didn't go up strong at the end of the game. He's going to come out here and show that he has a physical side to him.
Cartwright got off early at Madison Square Garden. Grant strip. And Rivers moves back.
That was a great pass that time, interior pass by Michael Jordan, but John Starks got a hand in there to strip him of the ball.
Armstrong got a piece of that pass. 3-on-1. Pippen for Grant. Yes, and it counts. Oakley picks up his first. And Horace Grant will go to the line.
It was interesting in talking to some of the Bulls players down in the locker room. They said that the one thing they knew they had to do tonight was come out and play harder tonight in Game 6 than they did in Game 5. Now, you would think that it might be reversed. You have to play harder on the road to win a game. But they knew how New York was going to come out, so they had to raise it up a level, not to give them a chance to sneak back in.
Here's pressure with Starks popping ahead for Smith. Bulls now lead 5-4. Smith way off. Kept alive by Oakley. Lost his balance. Starks stepped out. John Starks looking for the room along the baseline. Stepped out of bounds.
Very important that everybody stays within the framework of what they're trying to get done. Don't try and do it all by yourself because everybody understands how big this game is. You do it by doing it together.
Jordan to the left hand. And stop. Good play by Smith to turn it back. Last time the Knicks and the Bulls played here in Chicago, Michael Jordan exploded for the 54. Patrick Ewing. Ewing lost his balance. Claims that he took a shot on the bridge of the nose. They have lost a contact lens. The Knicks with a 6-5 lead. Jordan dishes it off. Here's Pippen. Scottie Pippen in Game 5 in New York. 12 for 23, 28 points. Another outstanding game. He has had a terrific series.
Mark, you know, that last semi-fast break before Ewing hit the jumper for New York, I saw Rivers start to push and kind of pull it back out a little bit. I'm wondering if in Game 5 they felt a false sense of security where they got out early, ran the ball, got some easy scores, yet still it was Chicago's tempo, not theirs ultimately.
Interesting point, and the Knicks were shooting so well. What hurt them was the poor free throw shooting, and despite the fact that they were able to get out as they did in the first half, as you had mentioned, Phil Jackson delighted with the score. Starks is able to bury the jump shot. Phil Jackson delighted that the Bulls were able to hang in that first half.
Because Chicago still scored 31 points in that first quarter, which is unusual against a New York team.
The Knicks 8, the Bulls 7. Michael Jordan. Rebound, Patrick Ewing. So Michael has missed his first two. shot again. John Starks has been quiet the last couple of games. He outplayed Michael Jordan the first two in New York, and then it has gone the other way. The Bulls call for a timeout. 7:23 remaining first quarter. The Knicks 10, the Bulls 7. Phil Jackson talking to his ball club, coming off that Bulls Wednesday night victory in New York, and with Game 6 back here in Chicago, does Phil Jackson have to guard against overconfidence on the part of his team? We asked that of Phil.
I don't believe this team is overconfident, but the thing about it is that you play not to lose a game like this. That's the one thing that I guard against with this ball club. And the other thing is that, you know, playing against the Knicks is like handling a dangerous rattlesnake, a cornered rattlesnake. They are a dangerous opponent right now because they've got their backs to the wall and they've got nothing to lose but come out and play as hard as they possibly can.
Marv, I have a full understanding of what Phil is talking about, going back to the series that the Atlanta Hawks played when I was coaching them against Boston. Home in Game 6, had just beaten the Celtics 3 straight to take a 3-2 lead. In our case, it wasn't a sense of playing not to lose. It was more a sense of a little bit of overconfidence setting in, a little lack of maturity on the team's part, not realizing how big a game it was and not understanding how strong Boston was going to come out.
And that's the Bulls' third turnover, so the Knicks get it back, having difficulty inbounding. Good pressure by Chicago. What other part about that Atlanta-Boston series? That was a very, very good Boston Celtic team that came from behind 3 games to 2 to knock off the Hawks in 7. Here's Smith from way out, rebounded by Cartwright. The Knicks by 3. 5 minutes gone by in this first quarter. E.J. Armstrong picked up on the switch. Jordan wide open. Yes. That is his first field goal.
A nice little wrinkle that time by Chicago. They played pick and roll 2-man basketball with B.J. and knew that the Knicks would trap it. The foul called by Michael Jordan, it looks like, in the backcourt. The pick and roll was played on the left side of the floor using Jordan on the weak side, knowing they were trapped. If you swing the ball to the weak side, then it's a rotation to get to Jordan. It's too late that particular time.
Jordan upset about that last foul call. He felt that John Starks, who was trapped trying to pull his way through and should have been called for the personal. Here's Starks for 3. Rebounded by Grant. The Knicks 10, the Bulls 9. Jordan tried the crossover. Armstrong. And Grant at the high post for Pippen to get the whistle. A hacking foul. That is the second for Smith.
The Bulls win about an hour and 15 minutes today at practice. Shoot around a little bit abnormal. The point of emphasis, offensive execution. Pippen comes off the nice screen, gets a good clean look, just can't convert as he's fouled on the play. But to go an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, an abnormal thing for a team on game day. Some teams, not all teams.
And here comes Anthony Mason for the 3rd time in 6 games. Charles Smith is forced to leave after picking up the early fouls, collecting 2 halfway through this opening quarter. So Smith to the bench. Anthony Mason, who had a strong game and has had a very potent series, has come on for the first time. Strong game for Anthony Mason in New York. 41 minutes, 8 of 11 from the field. Bulls with a 1-point lead. And again the pressure. Jordan staying with Starks. Met by the trap as Pippen came over, and it forces a turnover. And Pat Riley is upset.
What he's upset about is John Starks seemed to lose an understanding that they're going to come late at you. Pippen leads his man, suddenly jumps the basketball, and then when you try and throw a pass cross court that far with these Bull team, they cover too much ground. They would have intercepted, or as the case that time, he throws it out of bounds.
Michael Jordan. He's now 1 for 5, so a slow start by Michael. The Bulls by 1. Doc Rivers way off. Doc Rivers has been hit by a number of injuries this season. I get the idea that the bad back has affected his ball handling, which makes it very difficult at times against the Chicago press. And Hannah Storm telling us that got bothered by torn ligaments. The basket counts. Bill Cartwright will go to the line. Doc suffering with torn ligaments in his hand, his shooting hand, and that has affected him as you watch Cartwright on the follow.
And in the last time out, Ahmad overheard Phil Jackson telling the team that they wanted to establish an inside game, get the inside people involved. He didn't like the way they came out to start the game, thinking if they established the inside game, it would help them get their defense set. Then they'd have a better defensive chance of pressuring New York.
The Knicks have missed their last 3 shots. They're down now 14-10. Just under 5 minutes to go in this first quarter. Ewing is forced outside by the double team. While the Knicks showing signs of losing their poise once again. Another bad pass.
But you need to understand that this is something that probably was going to happen early, that Chicago was going to play on emotion, play off the crowd. You just got to keep reinforcing with your team. Hang in there, stay close enough, give yourself a chance, and use your timeouts wisely.
Scottie Pippen has 6. Here's the pressure. Pippen over on the trap, but this time Starks came to the ball, and the Knicks were able to handle it. Nice play by Mason. Oakley on the tip. Oakley again. And it will be Nick Ball. Also a loose ball foul called on Bill Cartwright. For Cartwright, his first. Notice the gash on the far head of Charles Oakley, suffered in a collision with Bill Cartwright in the last game. Rivers stripped. Here comes Jordan. Armstrong chasing down. Armstrong, yes. The Bulls on a roll. 11 unanswered. They lead by 8. The Knicks call for time.
Pressure trapping defense is one of the keys, is know where your teammates are and let the guy that's being trapped know. So as the ball goes into Ewing, he has one defensive player. Stop right there. 1, 2. Now, where are the offensive guys going to be for the New York Knicks? He doesn't know. He passes it over to the coach, Pat Riley. Wrong guy, Patrick. And then after the pass, Riley showing the frustration that's set in on the Knicks team.
Over the last 3 minutes and 20 seconds, Chicago has reeled off 11 straight points, and they lead 18-10. Starks backing up for the 3. John Starks from downtown. So Starks has 7, in Chicago 18, the Knicks 13. Both clubs remain the same following the timeout. 3:40 remaining in this first quarter. Jordan gets inside and then saw that he was being played by Ewing, tried to go cross court. It was broken up. Last touch by the Knicks. Phil Jackson coming out once again with the trapping defense, and it has bothered the Knicks. Look at that stat. Jordan 1 for 5. Rest of the club 6 for 6. This is what took place back in Game 3 here in Chicago. Jordan to the fadeaway. Remember, Michael went 3 for 18, but distributed the ball, and the supporting cast did the job. Well, Jordan trying to shoot his way back into it. That's his second field goal, but as he likes to put it, his supporting cast once again has come up big in this first quarter. Mason getting position, then rejected by Pippen. Here is Ewing. Bulls with a 3-on-2. The Knicks do hustle back. Jordan for 3. Yes.
In the last timeout, Phil Jackson emphasized to the team he wants a big spurt. He doesn't want to exchange baskets 10-9, 11-10. He wants to open it up. Told Michael Jordan, take more chances on the defensive end if you have to. Let's try and get something going.
How about that sequence? A bad shot by Starks, but Oakley was able to score on the putback. Bulls now lead by 8. 2.5 to go in this first quarter. Bulls have hit their last 5 shots. Let's see what the call is here by Jake O'Donnell. A hold on Rivers.
Michael uses his advantage, checks out the shot clock, his ability to jump, rise up, a little bit of a fade makes it tough for the outstretched hand of Starks to bother. Then if you let him come down in transition and get behind that three-point line, he's been shooting it well from back there, wipes those hands, makes sure that everything's cleaned up because he's got the feel.
Here's Greg Anthony replacing Doc Rivers, who just picked up his second foul. Greg Anthony played well in Game 5 of the Garden. Strong 15 minutes. Seeing action of the first half, hit 3 out of 4, compiled 5 assists. And Greg Anthony has been more effective against the pressure defense. Bulls by 10. But the Bulls do not mind when Greg Anthony takes the outside shot. Mason got inside, but too strong. Here's Oakley. And Oakley is fouled. Bulls fouled. He traveled. Cartwright called for his second.
Mason has had real good inside position. The problem has been converting once you turn and get a look at the basket. Oak, who doesn't play above the rim, has a tough time getting up so that he can score over the 6'10", 7-footers inside, but he's not afraid to put that body in there, draw contact, and at least get to the foul line.
And the Knicks, who have suffered at the foul line, shooting their first free throws of the night. They were 20 for 35, horrendous foul shooting in Game 5. Look at that number, though, in terms of free throw attempts. In New York, Knicks go to the line 105 times. In Chicago, 58. Talk about home court advantage. 87-81 for Chicago. Oakley hits on the first two. So the Bulls now lead 25-17 as we come up on 2 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Ewing jumping out on a switch. Stacey King has come on for the first time and gets right to it. Pretty turnaround move from the baseline by Stacey King. Oakley back to help. Chicago with a 10-point lead. Anthony working on Armstrong, getting a screen. Anthony shook off the pick and roll again. The crowd wanted to travel on Oakley, but no call.
Chicago is right on the verge of being called for an illegal defense. They know how to cheat just to the point of being legal, but at times they cross over to the illegal status. If New York held the ball a second longer, they'd probably get the whistle.
Pippen for 3. And Oakley with the rebound, and Charles very effective off the boards, although he looks like he's a bit tired as he makes his way up court. Charles Oakley was not a factor off the boards after suffering that bruised hand injury that bothered him in Game 5. Shot clock down to 2, down to 1. Starks for Mason. And the outside official, Jake O'Donnell, waves it off. He calls a 24-second violation.
If the ball is still in his possession when the red light goes off, the clock hits 00. The red light at the top of the screen goes off in possession. Good call.
Jess Kersey and Bennett Salvatore looking to Jake O'Donnell at center court, who had the best ankle, so we had that slight delay, and then Jake made the goal.
Are they checking out both ankles or just one?
All angles. Bulls 27 and the Knicks 19. 40 seconds remaining in this first quarter. Armstrong off the weave. Mason with the good box out. Now Stacey King is guarding Patrick Ewing. King came on for Cartwright. Anthony got inside. Oh, what a shot by Greg Anthony. That's one the Knicks have not seen.
Right now, if I'm Pat Riley, I am very happy. His team has kept this thing close enough, got through the first quarter where Chicago was not able to blow it open, and now you play from here.
Final seconds of the quarter. King with a standing one-hander. That's a rare shot by Anthony. Checks the clock. Anthony gets it off. After one, the Chicago Bulls lead the New York Knicks by 8. Michael Jordan has hit 3 of 7, including 1 from three-point range. He has 9 points, along with 4 assists. The Bulls have an 8-point lead in this Game 6 of the best of 7.
Well, Michael Jordan was in for a big surprise when he got to the stadium tonight. His younger sister, Rosalind, sang the national anthem. Well, Rosalind told me that she couldn't think of any better way to get Michael started off on the right track for this evening. And as you can see, they're on pretty much the right track so far, 29-21. Mark?
All right, now let's go over to Hannah.
Well, if you notice, Charles Oakley is not back in the game. He's sitting at the end of the bench. Charles, you can't really see the cut from this angle because he's taken the bandages off. But if you recall, he had a 1.5 to 2-inch cut suffered during Game 5 at Madison Square Garden. Apparently, it's bothering him, and he was treated by Mike Saunders during that timeout. Marv?
All right, Hannah, yes. Charles Oakley looked to be in pain just moments ago after coming down with a rebound. Second quarter underway. John Paxson, Scott Williams, Trent Tucker have all checked in. Post-up move by Jordan. Played very well by Starks. Charles Smith is back. So it is Smith with Ewing and Mason on the front line, and Starks and Anthony in the backcourt. Once again, the Knicks have had the edge off the boards. Knicks only 9 for 22 from the field in the first quarter, while the Bulls 11 for 17. Charles Smith with his second field goal. And off the steal! Greg Anthony continues to play well. He has brought the Knicks within 4. Action played by Anthony. Tucker now taken on the switch by Mason. Here's Stacey King. Wild shot. And Ewing got a piece of it.
Chicago's going with the small team that has helped them the last 3 games when they've come out with it. Right now, New York taking advantage against the small team.
Yes, Paxson along with Jordan and Tucker in a 3-guard alignment along with King and Williams. Oh, look out. Anthony tripped up. And a foul is called. Foul is called on Anthony, committing the foul before he went down.
A moment ago, after New York had scored on the inbounds pass, Stacey King gets a little careless. John Paxson doesn't come back to the ball, and Anthony sneaks in and picks up the steal and score. Give and go cut by Jordan. Anthony trying to hold on. Jordan throwing him off.
Tucker lost it. He thought he had Mason beaten off the fake. Londo Blackman has checked in for the first time. He has not been able to contribute much during this series. Played only 7 minutes in Game 5. And Blackman is called for the travel. That's been the problem with Rolando, is not getting the playing time. And they're having a number of traveling violations.
Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to force feed the ball into Charles Smith on the quick post-up. Chicago takes away the first pass. They throw it back to the top of the circle, trying to enter from the top. Blackman can't get a good look, so what happens? He travels, takes steps before he puts it on the floor.
Shot clock at 6. Jordan off the fake, through the foul. 2 minutes have gone by in this second quarter, and a timeout is called. Stadium, you watch the work inside between Charles Smith and the Knicks, Scott Williams of the Bulls. Throughout the series, Scott Williams has been a factor off the bench, as he has been in the playoffs the last 2 years in his 3rd season out of North Carolina. But Scott Williams has made it clear that he wants more playing time and perhaps could end up going elsewhere, a subject we discussed with him.
I think that I'm playing behind some quality players in Horace Grant and Bill Cartwright. But, you know, as a young player, you want to, be able to go out there and be a guy that knows he's going to play 25 and 30 minutes a night. That's the kind of situation that I'm looking for now. I've gotten the rings, and I've gotten all the awards and the compensation for being on the winning team. I want to go out there on a team maybe that's struggling to make it to that next level, and try to help them win a championship and be able to guy who can play on a nightly basis.
He doesn't really mean that. He doesn't mean what he's saying. He wants to be part of this Bulls organization. That's one of those tools that you use when it's contract time and you're going for a new contract, trying to move it up to a different level. He likes Chicago. He understands what his role is with this team. I think he'd rather win world championships than go somewhere else and get 28 minutes a game.
Are you saying Scott is posturing a bit?
A little bit.
Michael Jordan has 11. And the Bulls now lead 31-25. We're early second quarter. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad, and Hannah Storm. Anthony whipping by Paxson. And Greg Anthony has been a major factor for the Knicks. He's hit 3 out of 3. Looked like Stacey King shaken up. An official timeout is taken.
Anthony catches the Bulls with their backs turned for a second. Normally they would have rotated over a little bit sooner, but the free arm, his non-shooting elbow, is what catches King in the eye as he loses his balance, Anthony, but scores the ball.
Chicago trainer Chip Schaefer out to check things with Stacey King. As you see it from another angle, Anthony going flying, and then he clipped King. And Will Perdue will replace Stacey King. Perdue and Williams are the big men on the floor now for Chicago, with Tucker, Paxson, and Jordan.
If this group for Chicago doesn't start scoring some points against the New York defense, you might see a quick change by Phil Jackson. He's given them a chance. They haven't responded by scoring points, so he'll take a look for a little bit longer, but then it's time to make a move back to the other unit.
Blackman played Jordan well and then was able to get to the rebound. The Knicks are down by 4. Blackman passed on the 3, shoots for 2. Yes, Kersey with a loose ball foul against the Bulls.
Loose ball foul, Chicago.
It's called on Will Perdue.
Is first. The team's first.
So the Knicks will get the new 24. And here comes Horace Grant checking back in along with Scottie Pippen. So Phil Jackson will make the changes right here. Trent Tucker will sit down, and he'll take this opportunity to give a breather to Michael Jordan.
Well, you could just sense that enough was enough. He had gone with that unit. There was a timeout. He spoke to him, tried to shake him up a little bit. They didn't respond, so now you go back and try and play with your normal rotation.
Ewing with a very difficult shot. And off the rebound scramble, Jake O'Donnell with the call. A timeout was called by Grant. Good play by Horace Grant. He had the ball and saw he was in heavy traffic and wisely called for time.
Well, you know that when the ball goes inside, Chicago's going to converge on the basketball and do their best to get a lot of bodies in there to come up with rebounds because of the pounding that they took in the first 4 games. When Grant comes up with it, smart enough to call a quick timeout. Suspect.
NBA appearance for Madonna. Nice courtside seat, wearing one of your hats.
Is that a czar? Let's talk about the rebound margin that the New York Knicks had over the Chicago Bulls after the first 4 games, up by an average of 9.5 a game. And then in Game 5, Chicago making a statement suddenly on the glass, winning that rebound battle by 11. And this evening, the rebound totals for both teams, a 15-6 advantage. Again, New York jumping on the boards against Chicago. That big, strong team of New York taking its toll on the Bulls.
Anthony with the steal. Anthony with the ball fake and then throw it away is called for an offensive foul. How many things can go wrong on one play?
The intention was good. He held the ball just a little bit too long, flying down the lane. He got too deep, over-penetrated. Should have given it up there a little early. Instead, he wanted to be cute. The ball fake, throws it out of bounds.
Crowd trying to urge the Bulls on. And one stretch in the first quarter, they had scored 11 unanswered. Appeared to be on the roll, but the Knicks have been able to fight their way back. Here's Pippen. And the Bulls now lead 33-27. Pressure by Chicago, which has been handled well by Anthony, and they are not challenging Greg Anthony. Gone by second quarter. Blackman very close to a travel. He continues to have his problems. Rolando turned it over. Sorry, you realize that the only person in this building who is better known, that's a foul on Anthony, got Paxson from behind. The only person in this building better known internationally than Michael Jordan is Madonna. And it might be close these days. It's something for you to ponder.
Is Madonna a Bulls fan or a Knicks fan? Do you happen to know?
No, I don't.
Research that out? No.
Perhaps just an objective observer. John Paxson to the line. And Doc Rivers getting set to check back in. Charles Oakley has returned, so Oakley up front, along with Smith and Mason. Michael Jordan is back. Will Perdue sits down following the cameo. Both clubs perfect at the foul line, in contrast to what took place at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday. The Bulls 16 of 23, the Knicks missing 15 of 35. Smith sets the pick. Oakley in a battle with Williams. Starks slicing in. John Starks with a nice scoop. The Bulls lead by 6. Jordan with the step. Yes. 13 for Jordan. He has hit 4 of 10. 4-4 from the foul line. And again, pressure. Bad pass. Mason in trouble now. Gets it back to Oakley. And that is a double dribble.
Well, you knew they were in trouble from the first pass as Oakley tried to get it in bounds. Mason almost wasn't ready for it, didn't expect it at that time. And then as soon as it went into Mace, Chicago cut out all the other outlet passes. They let Oakley have it back. Exactly what they wanted. They did not fear Oakley bringing it up. Sure enough, 2 hands on the ball, doesn't count.
10th turnover committed by the Knicks. Paxson, yes. John Paxson was quiet in Game 5. Quiet in Game 4, had a big one in Game 3, and he has just hit his first jump shot of the night, leading to the Knicks timeout. Chicago has a 10-point lead.
Report. I'll be joined by Peter Vesey to talk about Michael Jordan's response to the report that he lost large sums of money playing golf with a former friend from San Diego. We'll look ahead to tomorrow's Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals between Phoenix and Seattle as we talk live with the Sonics' Sam Perkins. And we'll update you on today's action at the French Open. That's coming up at halftime. Right now, back to Chicago as we rejoin Marvin Mike.
All right, Bob, a 10-point Chicago lead with 6:33 remaining in this first half.
The double dribble comes there as Oakley puts both hands on the basketball against the Chicago Bulls extended defense, and there's the reaction by Coach Pat Riley, just saying a little prayer that somehow, some way, they'll figure out a way of getting the ball up the floor without turning it over.
Oakley will inbound. Horace Grant doing a good job. Nick, who has handled the trap effectively, has been Greg Anthony, and Anthony is sitting down right now. Nice move. Charles Smith going glass his 3rd field goal. He has 6 points. The Bulls 39 and the Knicks 31. Only 4 teams have lost a best of 7 playoff series after leading 2-0. Michael Jordan has 15. 4 teams have lost in a best of 7 after leading 2 games to nothing, as the Knicks did after winning the first 2 in New York. Mason was fouled. The last team back in '77, the Sixers in the NBA Final, jumped in front 2-0 on Portland, and then the Blazers came behind to win the series. Scott Williams on the foul.
At the other end of the floor, watch the elevation up high enough that even though Starks is extended all the way, you still see a good 8 to 10 inches over the outstretched hand, which gives Michael a good enough look to make the basket.
Anthony Mason on the line for the first time, and the free throw shooting to this point has turned around. The Knicks foul shooting has been horrendous right through the series. For the season, they're one of the weaker free throw shooting teams, 74%, and they've gotten worse during the course of the playoffs, but here they are going 4 for 4. Of course, very early, and Chicago has hit 10 of 10, and they are not a good foul shooting team.
Both teams called the shot doctor in, obviously, on the day off, and he worked a little bit with him, and now everything's fixed.
The shot doctor in the sky. Here's Jordan. Strong move off the spin. He got the step on Starks, and Jordan has 17. The Bulls 43. The Knicks 33. Mason for Smith. Good interior passing, but Smith blows the layup. He was fouled. He'll go to the line. Foul committed by Paxson.
No problem when you get Michael Jordan down in the post area. If you don't come and double team quickly enough, he backs you to the point where you have to overplay one way or the other. He turns the opposite way of the pressure, banks it off the glass. And then attacking the Chicago pressure, the little hurry-up offense by New York, at least produces the 2 free throw attempts by Charles Smith.
Charles Smith, a 78% foul shooter during the season. He's dropped off during the playoffs. So the Knicks have hit their first 6 at the line. Now lead trail by 8, 43-35. Ewing stepping out to help. It leaves Cartwright open momentarily. Michael Jordan is at 5 of his last 7. Here's Jordan. Played well by Rivers.
Buck actually got a little piece of that ball on the way up.
Smith with a strong drive. Charles Smith going to the hoop. He has 10. The Bulls by 6.
And see, that's the dilemma that you get caught up in. You don't want to up the tempo against Chicago, but you have to take advantage of the easy basket opportunities.
Cartwright fouled by Starks.
When you out-rebound them by the totals that New York is out-rebounding, it gives you a chance to run. But do you want to take advantage, or do you want to try and control tempo? As far as New York is concerned, they've got to score whenever the opportunity presents itself. Riley likes that opportunity basket.
Bill Cartwright to the free throw line. Phil Jackson telling us that Cartwright's 13-point first half and a more productive postseason on offense has given Bill renewed energy. He stepped up in the playoffs, started slowly in this series, 1 for 10 through games 1 and 4. Game 5, hit 5 out of 6. Started slowly from the offensive point of view, but in games 3 and 4, did a nice job in positioning against Ewing, and it has slowed Ewing down. With only 4 points. He has been invisible in this first half. 2 out of 4 from the field and not getting the shots that he would like. Now Ewing off a double team has to give it back. And Rivers came from out of bounds. He stepped out as he looked to set up for the 3-point shot. Another Knick turnover. Their 11th. Jordan fires for 3. Cartwright on the rebound. With the ball down by 8 with 4:05 remaining in this first half, and Jake O'Donnell with the call against the Bulls. And now he's calling illegal defense.
The second violation is a technical foul.
Second violation and a technical foul. The Knicks did not fare well at the foul line in the technical department the other night, but Doc Rivers converts.
Here's the defensive player who's anticipating that the ball is going to come down this way. He's not playing anybody, so the result is he's called for an illegal defense.
Bulls now lead by 7. Here's Ewing. Mason with the rebound, and he was hacked. And again, Patrick Ewing was forced into a shot that, although Pat Riley certainly respects the outside shooting touch of Patrick Ewing, but when you're shooting those jump shots consistently, that is not his game.
What Chicago's trying to do is make Patrick Ewing do what they want him to do. They'd much rather have him shooting perimeter jump shots than posting up down low, getting offensive rebounds, putting fouls on the big people, and then sometimes as the offensive guy, you have to take what's given to you, because when you have 2 or 3 people around, if you try and force shots, then you're accused of taking bad shots. So it's a dilemma that you get in that you try and solve working out. It always helps when your teammates step up and make a few baskets.
And he has a tremendous touch, but you still don't want him standing out there taking jump shots right throughout the game. Well, the Knicks finally missed from the line after hitting their first 7. Bulls by 6. 3:40 left, first half. Shot clock at 5. Horace Grant with his second field goal. That's Broadway Horace in the aftermath of his qualified guarantee of a victory before Game 5 in New York. Horace's teammates calling him Broadway Horace in tribute to Joe Namath's victory prediction prior to the 69 Super Bowl. Here's Rivers flying through. Mason missed the putback. Smith with the opportunity. Ewing with the rebound. Yes, and it counts. The Knicks controlling the offensive board.
Boy, Pat Riley was on the sideline that time, cheering for his team, and when he finally saw Patrick Ewing go after it strong, come up with an offensive rebound, put it back in, and get fouled on the play, it's like he let all this emotion out all of a sudden on the sideline, as if, yeah, that's what we need.
Foul was called on Pippen. 3-point play completed by Ewing. Here's Pat Riley reacting to the Patrick Ewing rebound bucket. And he made it a 3-point play to bring the Knicks within 5 with just under 3 minutes to go in the first half. Pippen's pass carries out of bounds.
I just sensed that last trip down from New York was going to be a critical stretch. If they could get a score that time, it was going to give them enough confidence to make a run here in the last 2 minutes and 40 seconds of this half. Give them a renewed spirit, so to say.
So to speak. As Pippen comes up with a steal. Armstrong. BJ with his 3rd field goal. He has 6 points. Chicago leads by 7. Trying to set the peg. Smith for Mason. Good recovery by Charles Smith, who did not have the shot, and then found Anthony Mason. Chicago 49, New York 44. Anthony Mason 7 rebounds along with 5 points. We're just under 2 minutes remaining, first half. Grant getting position. And Rivers at the guards. Ewing, Smith, Mason up front. Ewing called for the travel. Patrick undecided, was going to take the jump shot, then decided to put the ball on the floor.
You try and hurry up because you see the big man running out at you. If you forget to put the ball down first, it's going to be a travel ball. Patrick even had to smile a little bit. He knew he was in just a little bit too much of a hurry that time.
And turnovers have hurt the Knicks. Pippen going glass. Rebound Rivers. Starks for Rivers. Travel call. Another Knick turnover. Very strong passes being thrown. Those not the exchanges that Rivers and Starks would like.
Well, the frustration has to set in. Just think of the easy baskets New York has missed inside so far, what we call chippies or layups. And then on their opportunities, their chances to score in transition. Anthony gets up in the air, jumps up, throws it out of bounds. That time they've got a 3-on-2 fast break. No score. You must convert. No sense running fast breaks if you're not going to get points out of it.
Working the high post. 5 on the shot clock. Hard line. Open for a moment. Shot clock out of 1. Pippen. And that's a 24-second violation. So the ball goes back to the Knicks, but first a 20-second timeout has been called. by Pat Riley with 44 and 9/10 seconds remaining in this first half. Patrick Ewing, 3 out of 6, 7 points. And this an interesting stat that our staff, headed by Mr. Stats, Elliot Cal, came up with Bill Cartwright in the lineup in game number 5 when he was on the floor for 25 minutes. Patrick Ewing scored 11 points. With Cartwright on the bench for 23 minutes, Patrick Ewing scored 22 of his points. So it demonstrated in game 5, and as we mentioned earlier, Bill Cartwright has done a good job in pushing Ewing off the blocks. It demonstrates the value of Bill Cartwright, even if he's not scoring. Now, the Bulls would prefer that he show up a bit more offensively as he did in game 5, but still, he's the only player on the Chicago roster who really can have an effect on Ewing.
It's because of Ewing's respect for Williams, King, and Purdue, and also the officials' respect for Bill Cartwright as a veteran center.
Oakley with the open jump shot. 8 points for Charles Oakley. The Bulls 49, the Knicks 46. Chicago at 1 point, led by as many as 11. The Knicks have destroyed the Bulls off the boards. 24-7 rebounding advantage. Yet Chicago has a 3-point lead. Shot clock running down. It's at 3. Pittman. And Ewing pulls it down. No one Ewing handling the ball very much, but time was running down, and that is the end of the first half. So the Knicks have scrapped their way back. They were down by as many as 11. For the Knicks, the season on the line, they hope to bring this to a Game 7 in New York on Sunday. The Bulls would like to wrap it as they would advance to the championship round. Bob Costas coming up in a moment.
Halftime of Game 6 in Chicago. The Knicks have cut into the Bulls' lead, which was once 10, now only a 3-point difference at halftime. Michael Jordan with 17. I'm joined by Peter Vesey, and the topic is Michael Jordan. Last night, we heard from Richard Askinas, the man who claims that he was owed over $1 million at one point by Jordan for golf debts. Here's the text of Jordan's statement released late this afternoon. Says Jordan, I have played golf with Richard Askinas with wagers made between us. Because I did not keep records, I cannot verify how much I won or lost. I can assure you that the level of our wagers was substantially less than the preposterous amounts that have been reported. It is extremely disappointing to me that an individual whom I caused no harm and who held himself out as my friend would shamelessly exploit my name for selfish gain. It is equally disappointing that my off-the-court activities are receiving more attention in the midst of the NBA championship than my on-court activities. I want to publicly apologize to my family, my teammates, Jerry Reinsdorf, the NBA, and Bulls fans for the distraction this story has caused. I also want to thank those members of the media who had the courage and independence to report this incident and the coverage it received for what it is, an embarrassment for all of us. That's the statement by Michael Jordan, the reaction by Peter Vesey.
Well, I think it was an embarrassment to the media, to NBC especially. Personally, Bob, I would have never gone on with a story like that. I think we were really soft on him. I think we were irresponsible. I think that the guy's motives were clear. He's a publicity seeker. He's looking to make financial gain. And we gave a story of no importance and credibility.
Leaving the character of Richard Askinas aside, one need not sympathize.
I didn't even get into his character
One
yet.
need not sympathize with him to legitimately ask the question, if Michael Jordan has repeatedly made high-stakes wagers, that's not a story?
No, it was a story the first time. Now everybody knows that Michael Jordan gambles. He gambles big because he makes big money. That's the story. There's no story anymore, Bob. The league doesn't have any policy against him betting on golf links. As we know, golf is famous for betting on the links. He's just another guy that's got more money to bet out there.
You could make an argument that if a pattern develops, that it becomes a story. Not just the first time, which sets off an alarm, but if a pattern develops, then perhaps the alarm should ring again.
Well, I don't see why, because what are we saying? There's nothing illegal here. He's betting big lump sums of money on a sport. He's taking some risks. He takes risks on the court.
there's no difference, Bob. If the league wants to come out with a policy and say no more players, no more coaches, no more referees, first of all, I don't think refs are allowed in casinos during the year anyway, but I don't think players and coaches, there's no rules. If they came out and said no casinos, no gambling, nothing, then fine. Now we have a story. But it's nothing new here. This happened 2 years ago, Bob. It has nothing to do with what's going on now. I think that it was handled totally correctly the first day. When it came over the wire, every newspaper in this country, except maybe the LA Times, which had the story, went with it as agate. That's where it belonged, in agate.
I talked to David Stern last night. He said what you have just said. The league obviously has a policy about betting on NBA games. They have no policy about golf wagers or casino gambling. But David Stern acknowledged that they were reconsidering that. They may not do anything, but they may formulate a policy. Obviously, there won't be an ex post facto law, so they'll have to put in some kind of rule from this point forward if they decide to do that.
I think that'd be a great idea. I think the integrity of the league has to be protected every way possible. Let's do it. It should have been done long ago, probably.
There are long-standing alarm bells, though, in sports about associations with, quote, unsavory characters and about gambling in general. Even if it is legal for you or me, technically legal for the athlete, that sort of association is looked upon as questionable for a professional athlete.
If Michael Jordan has a problem, it's picking his friends. That's his biggest problem.
Okay. Our problem is time, sad to say. When we come back, we'll turn our attentions to the Suns and Sonics as we talk live with Seattle's Sam Perkins. That's after a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. Okay, we'll be talking live with the Sonics' Sam Perkins in just a moment, but first, let's get right to today's action at the French Open. Men's semifinals, two-time defending champ Jim Courier, the 22-year-old American, playing against Richard Krajicek, the Dutchman. Courier in the near court. He hits the passing shot here. Krajicek did manage to win a second-set tiebreaker, but for the most part, Courier was in control throughout. This is match point. Krajicek serves. Courier will volley, and Krajicek eventually hits long. Courier thus advances to Sunday's final, where he'll attempt to become the only player other than Bjorn Borg to win 3 straight French Open titles. His opponent will be Sergi Bruguera of Spain, one of the hottest clay court players in the world. Bruguera was very sharp today, eliminating Andre Medvedev in straight sets. This is match point here. Bruguera defeated top seed Pete Sampras in the quarters, and he's lost only 1 set the entire tournament. He wins today 6-0, 6-4, and 6-2. Sunday's final is set. Courier against Bruguera at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. on the West Coast. Tomorrow we've got the women's final at 12 noon with American Mary Jo Fernandez going against top seed Steffi Graf. And following our French Open coverage tomorrow, we have Game 7 of the Suns and Sonics, starting with showtime at 3 Eastern. Joining us live now from Phoenix is Sam Perkins of the Supersonics. Now, you were quoted within the last 24 hours as saying the Supersonics, your club, still not the smartest team in the NBA. You stand by that?
Well, I do at times. I think sometimes when we do play, we tend to play loosely with our possessions, and you know, those things hurt us if it's a close game, so we have to be more cautious of not turning the ball over.
This is your 3rd straight deciding game, do-or-die game in the playoffs. Game 5 and a best 3 of 5 against Utah. That was at home. Game 7 was at home against Houston. The obvious difference here, Game 7 on the road at Phoenix.
Well, yeah, this is one of these games where we need to really, you know, come with it like we've done in the other past series. I think as the series is going along with us, each series has been more confidence factor for us, and I think it shows by each time we go out. Everybody's getting involved, everybody's playing well, and everybody's trying to uplift each other. So, I mean, tomorrow is going to be a big day for us, not only as a game-wise, but just for the confidence factor for this team and organization.
Sam, you've had a modicum of success in Seattle handling Barkley. He's been killing you, though, in Phoenix. What are you going to do tomorrow that's going to be different than the first 3 games in Phoenix?
Well, we're going to try to be aggressive as much as possible. Barkley is, you know, a phenomenally strong player, and with his assets, he definitely takes control of a game. And Phoenix, with their crowd, home court advantage, anything can happen. But we're going to try to contain him by trying to get in his way and try to get the ball out of his hands as much as possible and see from there.
Sam, let's talk about your offensive strategy. It appeared in the last game that you were pulled further away from the basket to try to keep the double team away from Marley guarding McKee. Is that a strategy you're going to look to do again tomorrow?
Well, it's not so much of a onset to get away from the basket as far as possible from double teaming, but you know, I think Coach has played me in a way that has been effective, and trying to go inside and outside will be a key, but it's not a primarily thing to do for us. I think if I'm outside, he wants me to shoot it, but at the same time, we're trying to work the ball inside as well, just to make sure that everybody plays their man straight up.
One last thing quickly, Sam, in keeping with that. During the regular season, you averaged about 1 3-point attempt per game. In the playoffs, over 4 3-point attempts per game. That's quite a change.
Well, it is a change. I think every time I play a game, and afterwards I would have to ice my arm. And the thing is I'm not used to it, but like I said, Coach has implemented me into the lineup, and the way I came here, he's adjusted me so many times that time the playoff come, I would feel comfortable with the other guys. So we're trying to make a run for it, and if he tells me to shoot it and I'm open, I feel confident that hopefully it'll go in.
Sam, thanks a lot. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. Who's going to take it?
I like Seattle in this game. Gary Payton has learned that you have to play on the road as well. He has not played well except for Game 5, very well. Payton, Kemp is learning to play over the top. The entire Seattle front line playing over the top of Phoenix. That's very good. And Ricky Pierce has given them a quiet confidence that they can win. But the real problem is Phoenix's lack of assertiveness. They're playing like the aged rock stars who are running from fans who aren't even chasing them anymore. I'm looking for Phoenix all the way.
An interesting analogy as a man who has attended hundreds of Grateful Dead concerts. Does that happen to Jerry Garcia at this stage?
No.
Agree or disagree? One word only.
I agree.
He agrees. Well, we'll send things back to Chicago for the second half with the Bulls leading by 3. Back to Marv and Mike after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
The Knicks 46 as we head to the third quarter. About is alongside Chicago coach Phil Jackson. Let's go downstairs.
All right, thanks, Marv. Coach, your 3-point lead at halftime, but you must be concerned about the rebounds, 25-7 in favor of New York.
Incredible. That's all I can say is that, we've just been out-hustled on the boards. And, we're ahead in this game, but the momentum's in their side of the game. We got to get in our side if we're going to be in this half.
All right, good luck to you in the second half, Coach. All right, back to you, Marv.
All right, about and look at these stats. Czar Ewing 7 rebounds, Oakley 6. That is an amazing differential.
And 12-1 offensive rebounds is really the key, because New York has 13 turnovers to Chicago's 7, which gives Chicago that many more possessions. But 12-1 offensive rebounds turns it around and gives New York that many more shot opportunities. So when you look at the shot opportunities for that first half, it's 39-33 in favor of New York.
And we're looking at today's Miller Genuine Draft halftime statistics. The Knicks shooting 18 for 39 for 46%. The Bulls altogether 54%, but Jordan 6 out of 14. And look at the rest of the team, 12 for 19. Michael Jordan is the only Bull in double figures with 17 points. Charles Smith leading New York with 10. We'll be back with the second half in a moment. To Chicago on a 45-degree rainy night in the Windy City. It's beginning to heat up inside. This is a key stat. The Knicks turning the ball over, and that has erased the rebounding advantage. One of the reasons they're trailing by 3 points.
And then does the other team capitalize on those turnovers? Well, Chicago certainly has, picking up 13 extra points against New York by producing all those turnovers with their defense.
In a Chicago ball as we get started in the third quarter. Armstrong and Jordan in the backcourt. Pippen up front with Cartwright and Grant. Knocked it away. Jordan on the recovery, fires for the 3, and Starks with the rebound. Charles Smith away from the post area, and a blocking foul called on Cartwright. That is his third.
The big body of Cartwright trying to play the smaller guard, John Starks. It just doesn't work that way.
Rivers and Starks at the guards. Oakley, Ewing, Smith up front. Doc Rivers. Last couple of games, the Knicks have not been able to hit the outside shot. Their major problem last season, which is the reason that Dave Checkitz and Ernie Grunfeld revamped this team, and it was a problem earlier in the year, and then it picked up.
One of the things that seems to be missing so far in this game is that three-point shot, which has been effective for both teams at different times.
Here comes Starks. Smith down the left wing side. Rebounded by Pippen and knocked out of his hands. Last touch by the Knicks.
And you could see the difference between Scottie Pippen in the open floor trying to finish as a small forward and Charles Smith, who is a natural power forward, sometimes center with the Clippers, converted to small forward that couldn't finish that time.
And a late call on that last play with the ball knocked out of bounds. Pat Riley complaining. Charles Smith was hit with a loose ball foul. That's his third. Riley continuing the discussion with Jake O'Donnell as play continues. Here's Jordan. The Bulls lead 51-48. One of the rare times that this unit on the floor has been allowed to advance past midcourt without facing pressure. Ewing, yes. Well, that time Cartwright could not get him further out, and that was a good spot for the Ewing turnaround jump shot.
And Ewing had bumped Cartwright away with his body to give him the space he needs to get a clean up.
Oh! Michael Jordan lighting it home. The Bulls lead by 3. Sense this game beginning to pick up. Cartwright with the steal. Armstrong shooting. Pat Riley wants a 20-second timeout.
Ago when Charles Smith was out on the fast break, didn't convert, and then in the battle for the missed shot as Pippen keeps it alive. Smith right there holding on to that arm, a very late whistle. You thought that it was just a possession call, instead of foul. Then a back cut by Jordan, his partner Pippen right on the money. Michael able to control with the great hands and convert.
Chicago has hit its last 3 shots, and they now lead by 5. This is Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Bulls leading 3-2. Game 7, if necessary, at Madison Square Garden in New York, Sunday night. And we'll bring it to you here on NBC starting at 7. Starks with a fan pass. Behind the back pass. Now that came after a timeout.
Well, during the timeout, Riles didn't know that they were going to wind up with a 3-2 advantage and have Starks in the middle. If he would have known all that, he would have said, John, take your time, make a nice bounce pass, get a conversion.
And again, the Knicks control the boards. And Smith was held. Will it count? No. Jake O'Donnell says you will not get the continuation on the call.
Come down on the fast break, but if you're not under control, you get carried away. All of a sudden, you jump into Cartwright's body, nowhere to go. You're behind the basket, and there's Jordan to pick it off. That time, on offense for New York, they got that quick hurry-up sideline post to Charles Smith. He picked up the personal foul.
A.J. Armstrong called for that last foul. Ewing sets the pick for Starks. Yes. John Starks from long range. He's 5 out of 7 for 11. The Bulls 55 and the Knicks 52. Jordan in traffic. It could not be handled by Grant, but it was knocked out of bounds by the Knicks. is Doc Rivers against Michael Jordan. A little pushing and shoving on the inbounds lineup.
They've been changing people up on Michael Jordan, trying to keep a fresh guy on him, trying to wear him out.
Jordan backing in. Pippen. Scottie Pippen complaining he thought he was fouled. Michael Jordan with his 6th assist. And the foul is called on Chicago. It's on Armstrong, his 2nd.
Jordan tries to go backdoor on the out-of-bounds pass for a layup. Changes direction, but it's not there, so instead Grant must come over as a release and get it, and then they're going to eventually swing it around to get Michael on a post-up. Ewing tries to come late and double-team. Instead, Jordan drops it off.
Obviously, it's such a difficult assignment, the toughest in the NBA, but when you were coaching the Hawks and had Doc Rivers, how did he fare defending against Michael Jordan?
Our biggest problem back in those days, whoever we put on Michael seemed to get in foul trouble, wound up spending a lot of time on the bench that night. So if you wanted to keep Rivers in the game for offense, you didn't put him on Jordan a whole lot, but then again, you had to sacrifice somebody to that position.
Scottie Pippen was called for the foul, and Charles Oakley will go to the line.
And in fact, going back to those days when we played against the Chicago teams, at the end of games, many times I would go to Dominique Wilkins against Michael Jordan, putting a great athlete against another great athlete, hoping the size and his ability to challenge might bother Michael on the shot.
And the Knicks are 10 of 11 from the foul line. Oakley 3 for 3. The Bulls have a 4-point lead. Oakley fell down. Armstrong for 3. Ewing had it knocked away. Last touch by Grant.
Patrick Ewing is playing big, way above the rim tonight. He is possessed right now to go get every rebound.
And here comes pressure on Rivers. Shot clock down to 10, and now the Knicks are looking for the shot. The pressure at the half-court delaying the situation. Starks misfired. Here comes Pippen. Caught right from Pippen. And a blocking foul called on Starks.
Well, you mentioned the key thing back at the other end of the floor for New York. They were just starting to get into their half-court offense with 10 seconds remaining on the 24-second clock, and what they wound up with was about a 25, 26-foot jumper by Starks. Then he hustles back, tries to pick up the offensive foul, but Big Bill on his way gets the benefit of the call.
A remarkable statistic. The Knicks have out-rebounded the Bulls 28-9. And yet here's Chicago with caught right at the line in front by 5 points.
And if there are big reasons for it, it's the points off turnovers that Chicago has scored, and it's the blown opportunities by New York on fast break chances or little inside shots that normally they would convert that have rolled out that prevent them from taking the lead.
Cartwright is 5 out of 5 from the line. They receive points off turnovers. The 19-4 advantage. Bulls lead by 6. They trap Rivers. Starks. And Starks will go to the foul line. That also puts the Bulls over the limit. Scottie Pippen collects his 3rd.
By keeping John Starks in the middle of the floor against the press, New York has been able to go over to the side, back to the middle, and wind up with a 3-2 advantage. Oakley on one side, Ewing on the left wing, Starks coming down the middle. So the hope is there that you've got scorers, you've got big people to get on the glass, and in Starks, a guy who, if the shot's not there, at least can distribute the basketball to a teammate.
John Starks, a solid free throw shooter, has struggled at the line this series. 2 out of 5 in Game 5. 12 for 23 from the foul line coming into tonight. The Bulls 59, the Knicks 55. 5 minutes have gone by in the 3rd quarter. Rivers nearly picked it off. Ewing did. And Ewing putting the move on Pippen. And then blocked by Jordan. What a play. Michael Jordan
the beginning of that play. What a terrific effort, sensational by Ewing, who may have hurt his shoulder a little bit. First of all, the 7-footer comes up with it, then has the confidence in his offhand, left hand, to get it down the floor. Jordan, as he gets it, pulls that arm back, and we saw Ewing react as he came to the bench by grabbing that shoulder.
Timeout has been called, 6:49 to go in the third.
Hannah Storm back at Chicago Stadium. We told you before the game about the Knicks' late arrival here at the stadium, 6:55 local time, and the fact that they closed their locker room to the media prior to the game. Well, the NBA has just announced that it will be fining the Knicks for not making their players available before this playoff game. The amount of the fine has not been disclosed, but if you'll recall, on Sunday, it was the Chicago Bulls who were fined $25,000 for making their players not available during a practice. Marv?
All right, Hannah, we have 6:49 remaining in this third quarter. Bulls with a 59-55 lead.
And Ahmad just mentioned there's a big, major concern in the Chicago huddle about the fact that they keep giving those leads away and let New York back in the game. They can't sustain the spurt, the energy to open this thing up.
Pretty set up, but Ewing is fouled. Scottie Pippen picks up his fourth. Pippen came over to help. Number 4 on Pippen, so Ewing to the line.
They had run their pick and roll, stepped Ewing back for the jumper. No one got there in time on the rotation to pick him up. He saw a clear path to the basket, took it in. Little indecision as to who was coming. Was it Pippen to go, or was it Cartwright that was going to make the rotation?
The Knicks are now 12 of 15 from the line. The Knicks have never lost 4 in a row under Pat Riley. They won the first 2 this series. They've lost 3 straight. Just Kersey blowing the whistle. It's a lane violation. And Ewing will get another opportunity.
The ball must be released before you step in. Cartwright's already in the lane. Violation.
But it's the hat trick. Ewing missed all 3. The Knicks have been shooting well at the foul line up until the third quarter. Shot clock at 3, at 2, at 1. Jordan rebounded by Oakley. Michael Jordan now 8 for 18. He is 21, 17 of the half. Another deflection leading to the steal and the break. Armstrong stopped by Oakley, and a foul is called. No, they say clean block. It is a clean block. Phil Jackson puzzled by the call.
Well, excellent hustle this time by Oakley, getting back. It looks like a sure layup, but Oakley gets back. Piece of the underside of his arm actually blocks the wall. BJ thinks he got fouled. Oakley thinks it's a clean block, and the officials this time side with Charles Oakley. BJ can't believe it.
The officials conferring, determining how much time is left on the shot clock and whether or not to allow Scott Williams to check in. And here he comes, replacing Scottie Pippen. 10 points for Pippen, along with 6 assists. Departing after picking up his 4th foul just a moment ago. Rivers trying to draw the foul. Jacob Ellison, are you okay? His play just continued.
Doc looked up, wanted the offensive foul ball. As you said, Jake looked at him and asked if he was okay, Doc.
He also said, Doc, you must be kidding. Ewing for Smith on a triple team. He challenged and was turned back. Jordan with the change of direction gives it back out.
That was a little deja vu of the last game. Charles Smith going up in a crowd under the basket.
Shot clock at 5, and now a foul is called. Todd Rivers, pushing foul. That is his 3rd.
Smith strong inside, gets the nice feed pass by Patrick Ewing. A little pump fake and then takes it right to the front room, trying to draw contact. No call, no basket.
Knicks with their third team foul. Bulls already over the limit. Smith over to help. Again, the Bulls find the open man. Williams missed the reverse. And Ewing gets to it.
And New York has made an adjustment defensively. When Michael catches it in the post there, they're not waiting any longer. Someone's coming at him right away now, trying to get the ball out of his hands.
And that is a huge adjustment in the New York defensive scheme. Ewing fires from deep. And the Knicks are within two. You know, Pat Riley had playing well. We're going to play him straight up, no question. But they are coming with a second man in certain situations. Bulls have missed the last 4 shots and having difficulty locating shots. Pretty pass. Able to hit and he's fouled. A gorgeous pass from Jordan.
Let's go to the last time down the floor. Michael Jordan on the post-up being played straight up by Rivers. Here's the next defensive man that's going to come over and form the double team, something that New York doesn't like to do, but they get it out of his hands, which is what they want. Get it over to the other side of the floor. Make someone else have to beat you. The interior passing of Michael Jordan, sensational to Grant, who converts and now gets the opportunity to make it a three-point play.
Ewing called for the foul. It is a three-point play. Horace Grant. Michael Jordan picked up his 7th assist with that setup. Greg Anthony and Anthony Mason have checked in. The Knicks are down by 5. 4 minutes, 15 seconds remaining. Third quarter. Anthony doing it off the dribble to set up Mason. Anthony Mason with his second field goal. He has 7 points, along with 7 rebounds. The Bulls lead by 3. Now Starks is matched with Jordan, with Rivers sitting down. Oakley over to help. Armstrong. Cartwright keeps it alive. A rare offensive rebound for Chicago. And Ewing had it knocked away. Last touch by the Bulls. Pat Riley, who has guided the Knicks to their best regular season in 25 years, directing traffic. But as the Knicks move up court, we get a timeout being indicated. Let's see. Looks like Horace Grant with a bloody nose.
Now, I'm not sure whether Jake O'Donnell stopped the game first because of the bloody nose, or if they recognized the timeout that New York was trying to call.
Apparently, it is not a timeout that has been granted.
So then he stopped play because of the bloody nose. Now New York decides they want their timeout, so they're taking it.
Time remaining 3:39 in this third quarter. For Michael Jordan, Michael continuing his media boycott today, although he did release a statement commenting on that new book that alleges he lost up to $1.25 million gambling on golf games during a 10-day period back in September of 1991. I talked about it with Bulls coach Phil Jackson and I asked if all this concerns him.
I've said this before many times, that this is the most competitive guy I've ever met, and I've known a lot of Mike. I've been with a lot of players over the course of time. They'll run a 100-yard dash with you. They'll do, you pick competition, I'll bet on it, we'll bet on it, and let's go out and we'll do it. Pool, pinball machines, video games, they just love competition, direct competition. And you know, I think maybe it's best been said that Michael loves competition so much he finds a venue in which to put value on it and engage in it. It's a level that sometimes is, you know, maybe detrimental to his best interest. It certainly might be to our best interest at this time.
Well, the shot clock is down to 3 as Starks was fouled. Fouled by Jordan. That is his third.
You gotta admire the fact that Michael stepped up there, tried to take the charge, because he's still hurting in the middle of his chest from the blow he took in the last game at Madison Square Garden when Doc Rivers drove to the basket and he stepped over to take the offensive foul, caught a knee in his abdomen, a blow to the chest area. That was still bothering him down the locker room prior to this game.
Starks 2 of 3 from the line. A couple of the Chicago Bulls players, when asked about this new book concerning Michael Jordan's gambling, said, well, yeah, it is, of course, considered an addiction, but before you pass any judgment, you have to talk to him about it and see what he has to say. And apparently they are not looking to discuss it, at least during this run in the playoffs. So this will be ongoing as Scottie Pippen extends that Chicago lead to 5.
And Ahmad just mentioned coming off the timeout that they wanted to open the floor up more. Phil Jackson did not like the congested offense, wanted to give more space for Pippen and Jordan to operate. He put Paxson in the game to spread him out as well.
And Patrick Ewing beginning to show some signs. He has 13 points. The Bulls by 3 with 2:40 remaining, third quarter.
8 times New York has shot the ball with under 10 seconds remaining. They've made 7 out of 8, which is sensational when the pressure's on and you have to make a shot against the Bulls defense.
Scottie Pippen. So Pippen is now 6 for 10, 14 points. Chicago by 5. These two clubs just trading field goals. Starks used the screen. He fouled Oakley. Nicely done. Starks and Oakley combining. The Bulls 66 and the Knicks 63. This is the best sustained run of the game. And Mason took a second shot at Pippen, who did not approve of that.
Well, first let's go back to the big man down the hole, the battle. There's the space he creates by knocking Cartwright off him with the shoulder, and then the ball delivered on time, on the money. He can convert at the end. Watch after the play, making sure that no continuations call. A little shot there by Pippen to Mason because he didn't like the extra little foul after the whistle that Mason put on him.
Chicago with its first miss. They hit 15 straight. Well, that was the first testy moment we've seen here tonight with Mason going at Pippen. You know, there are some people who feel that the Knicks have lost their fierceness. Could it be all the posturing in the media, the complaints by Phil Jackson may have taken an effect? Has the officiating changed? They are not the same club on the edge that we saw for most of the season.
Well, I'm sure that the talking that has gone on and the warnings that have come down, the flagrant fouls, the ejections from games, will cause a concern. Nobody wants to get thrown out at this critical stage. The next thing is, keep in mind the fatigue factor of a 7-game series at this level. It's incredible. Players do wear down.
And Pippen trying to convert off the steal, and a foul was called. Starks picks up his third.
During the course of the regular season, on the left, you see the average minutes played. But then come playoff time, when you have to step up and the demands are greater, it becomes more physical. And when you're playing against a championship team, sometimes it takes its toll. And you're not the same players at the same team that you were.
Now Michael Jordan, replaced by Darrell Walker, who has not played at all this evening and has seen only limited action during the series. But when Darrell Walker is on the floor, he is usually in someone's face. A very tough defender. The matchup is Walker against Starks. Illegal defense called again against the Bulls. That's their third violation.
Scottie Pippen is complaining that you're allowed to cross under the foul line if you are anticipating a pass to the post so that you can get on your way to a rotation. If players ball fake, and you see Pippen at the foul line start to go down below it, come back on this ball fake there, he crosses below, but then tries to come back. That's where he gets called for the illegal defense, and he says, in his opinion, it should be okay because there was a ball fake from the rim. He was just anticipating it.
The Knicks had missed their previous 4 at the line. They're now 13 for 19. Here is Rolando Blackman for John Starks.
One of the best at that, at exploiting the defense and exposing him, was Larry Bird when he played. He'd get deep behind the three-point line, ball fake, ball fake, ball fake, drive the defense is crazy. And then you had to play him out there because of his ability to
looking for the violation. Greg Anthony not able to hit. Williams with the block, and then Anthony called for the foul. That is number 4 on Anthony.
How many times do you think you've got a sure score? This is in for Oakley, right? No, it's not. Erased by Scotty Williams, and Anthony gets a little bit too aggressive in trying to jam the outlet pass. Scotty's happy with himself. He makes a big defensive play.
Both teams over the limit with 1:03 to go in this third quarter. Cartwright 5 for 5 from the line. The Bulls 70 and the Knicks 64.
Now, I was talking with Scott Williams down in the locker room earlier before the game, and he was talking about, you know, if I get a few more shots, I'll score a few more points. And I just mentioned to him, Scotty, you got a job to do. That's his job. Rebound the basketball, play good defense, block some shots, set good screens. Don't worry about being a big scorer.
Well, isn't that the end result of a player perhaps playing for his contract? He will be a free agent.
You have to be concerned about that. Those are some of the subtle things that take place on teams during the course of years where guys get out of sync, get out of what they do best for their team by going for themselves.
Excellent pressure by Chicago. Only 7 on the shot clock. Mason, yes. Anthony Mason with a tough angle jump to bring the Knicks within 5.
Another converted score for New York with the shot clock down, as you said, under 7 seconds, and yet they make another big one.
Bulls 71, Knicks 66. Pippen rebounded by Oakley. The Knicks continue to dominate the Bulls. 25 seconds to go in the third. Knicks have out-rebounded the Bulls 33-14. Mason with the opening. Yes, he's hit 2 straight, and the Knicks are within 3 with 16 seconds left in the third.
And I would imagine it'll go to Scottie Pippen to try and create for either Tucker in one corner, Paxson in the other, or Pippen to beat Mason off the dribble. Mason's been giving him room. That's why Pippen's gone for the jump shot. Right now, he's up tight on him.
Final seconds of the quarter. The fake by Pippen. Rebound Ewing as time runs out in the third. The Bulls at one stretch led by as many as 10. The Bulls now lead by 3 as we head to the fourth quarter. Scottie Pippen now with 17. Michael Jordan has 21. High point man for the Knicks. John Starks with 14. Patrick Ewing with 13. Back after these words from your local station. Back to Chicago Stadium as we head to the fourth quarter. Yes, the hottest and the biggest ticket in town. The Knicks and the Bulls meeting in game number 6. And the Bulls with a 3-point lead. They've led by as many as 10. Tonight's game represents the legacy of this New York Knicks team. They will be remembered for winning or losing this desperation game in Chicago. The Bulls, on the other hand, have nothing to prove, and they also have a Game 7 waiting in the wings, even though it is in New York. So the pressure on the Knicks right here. Foul is called. King getting involved with Ewing. Stacey King called for his first.
King complaining that Ewing hooked his arm. Too much contact over the top, the push, the shove, the physical play in the post area.
Now John Starks is back, replacing Rolando Blackman. Pat Riley staying with Greg Anthony. Anthony and Starks at the guards. Ewing, Oakley, Mason up front. The Knicks have out-rebounded the Bulls 34-14. Turnovers, though, have hurt them, and they have been missing from the line here in the second half after the good shooting in the first half. Wild shot by Anthony. So that is what will put Greg Anthony back on the bench, even though he is so effective against the press.
But you got to break down the defense off the dribble. You have to take it to the hole and try and get a shot attempt up there. Now, if that would have gone in, would you have been upset with him?
Well, I think I'm not upset with him.
Okay, thank you.
Paxson for 3. John Paxson hits the three-pointer, and a technical foul has been called on Greg Anthony, and Patrick Ewing is in his face. Now, you say, am I upset with him? I am an objective observer. But as watching basketball, I say that if you take poor shots, as Anthony usually does, and if you get in situations like this where the game can get out of hand, it's not smart. That's why he will be back on the bench very shortly. And that's what the problem has been with his game right throughout the season. The Bulls 75 and the Knicks 68.
Moving on. Yes. Phil Jackson gambled, left Paxson in the basketball game to try and extend the defense. Well, nice move by Coach Phil Jackson, leaving him on the floor.
Remember, Paxson had a hot hand in Game 3, getting 5 out of 7 key buckets, 14 points in all. He scored 7 today. Here's Ewing. Patrick Ewing, who a moment ago was in the face of Greg Anthony. They just continued the discussion as they move up court, and here comes Doc Rivers.
All Ewing told him coming down was, get me the ball on time. Don't wait too long, don't hold it too long. Just get it to me on time, because Patrick Ewing wants to take over for his team right now.
Grant. Ewing with the rebound. And he took a shot in the chin. 10 rebounds for Patrick Ewing.
Bulls defense up, extended right now, forcing New York to pass the ball more around the perimeter than they want.
There's a three-point attempt taken by Jordan. Michael fires for three. Rebound King. The Bulls lead by 7. And Pat Riley getting set to reinsert both Charles Smith and Doc Rivers. The chant of defense. Shot clock down to 4. Starks for 3. To it.
You gotta love the battle between Oakley and Grant, two warriors that just stay after, give you that second and third effort. Sometimes it goes one way, the next time the other way.
Pippen. Oakley able to haul it down. Looked like Pat Riley was getting set to call a timeout to make the substitutions, but he decides to let it keep flowing, and it pays off. Anthony Mason has been a major contributor. Mason has 13. The Bulls lead 77-72.
Well, the players were up there to report in, but knowing that the next dead ball becomes a mandatory timeout, they just return to the bench knowing that both teams will have to come in. Change your tires, obviously.
And Jordan was fouled. That won't count. Does not get the call on the continuation. Starks picks up his 4th. And now the Knicks get the timeout.
Michael Jordan getting down the baseline, strong enough to keep Starks away. Finishes the shot, but it doesn't count.
Genuine moments.
And tonight's Miller Moment takes us back to May of 1988. The Atlanta Hawks had defeated the Boston Celtics in Boston, taking a 3-2 lead. The Hawks could have wrapped it up at home in Game 6, but the Celtics won 102-100 and then went on to capture the series at home in Game 7. The Hawks, coached by one Mike Fratello, became the 7th team in 14 years to blow a 3-2 lead in the series. Just reporting the action, but Doc Rivers, a member of that Hawk team, told me that you felt that the Celtics tightened up the nets back in Boston because you guys were a fast-breaking ball club and it does not allow the ball to flow right through and they could take advantage. Is that accurate?
Obviously, that was our problem back then. Doc was hallucinating. I didn't realize what was going on. You know, you could have worded that so many different ways, but to say that we blew a 3-2 lead.
I'm only reading what was presented to me. Illegal pick was called. Apparently, illegal pick out of bounds was called against Chicago. So it is New York ball. It's a 5-point Chicago lead with 8 minutes and 15 seconds left in the 4th quarter. And a blocking foul called on Paxson. Getting back to that Miller moment in recognition of that moment featuring the Hawks and the Celtics back in 1988. Miller Genuine Grant will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund.
Phil Jackson faced with a decision here. Do you leave John Paxson on the floor because he made a big 3-pointer and he's doing a pretty solid job? Do you bring BJ back, who's made so many big shots for him and can apply a little more pressure defensively. Right now he's going with Paxson because he likes the fact he gets him into their offense from different areas other than BJ.
Mason rejected. Mason stopped again, and he's fouled, and Jordan upset with the call. Pat Riley has made the substitution with Doc Rivers coming on for Greg Anthony. Jordan called for his fourth.
There's the first piece by Michael. Then from behind, the swipe, a little bit too much wrist or hand on the floor. And the game being held up momentarily while a fan threw a bottle out on the floor, soda bottle. There's soda all over the floor. A ridiculous situation to have an athlete potentially injured by something like that. They're out trying to clean it up.
It appeared that there were people pointing in the direction of the person who threw the bottle out. Unbelievable. And he will be escorted out of Chicago Stadium. Meanwhile, we get the official timeout. Down to 7:53 remaining in this fourth quarter. The Bulls lead by 5. A reminder this weekend, NBC Sports serving up Grand Slam tennis action as we continue our coverage of the French Open presented by Coca-Cola Classic. Tomorrow at 12 noon, you'll see exclusive coverage of the women's final as #1 seed Steffi Graf will take on Mary Jo Fernandez, the #5 seed. That's right here on NBC tomorrow starting at 12 noon and at 3 o'clock Eastern time, starting with Showtime. It'll be Game 7 between Seattle and Phoenix. How about the performance by Shawn Kemp last night? An inspired 22 points, 15 rebounds. Charles Barkley will be looking to turn it from the 4 of 14 from the field.
That Seattle group just might be wild enough to go in there and win a Game 7 away from home. They play with so much aggressiveness. They play with so little concern about who they're playing against, and they just could steal that series.
Look at the turnaround at the foul line in the second half. The Knicks were 9 for 10 from the line in the first half. They are 4 of 10 in the second half. And again, Pat Riley is suffering as he watches his team die at the foul line. That killed them in Game 5 in New York. How about George Karl, one of the more colorful coaches in the NBA? He made the statement recently that his goal is to coach someday in the CBA. He had a stint, you'll recall, in the CBA. In fact, after Sonic games this season, in the middle of the night, he would dial the CBA hotline to check on scores. George Karl,
on top of basketball all over.
Absolutely. Obviously enjoyed his time in the Continental Basketball Association. He's done a great job with the Seattle Supersonics. Bulls by 4. Paxson. Rebounded by Grant. Paxson for 3. Kept alive by King, and he drew the foul. Stacey King will go to the line for the first time. That is #5, committed by John Starks.
And that man right there, Pat Riley, has done some job with this basketball team. In only 2 years, would you say that perhaps they're slightly ahead of schedule?
Yes, I think there was a point this season where Dave Jackson and Ernie Grunfeld and Pat Riley said, hey, we could have a shot at contending for the title. I don't know if they felt it would happen this quickly. And right here they are facing either a Game 7 in New York or elimination at the end of the season. A season that saw the Knicks win 60 games, finishing on top of the Eastern Conference. They opened up this series after knocking off Charlotte and Indiana by winning the first 2. Smith was fouled. And Chicago turned it with 3 straight wins, including that breakthrough victory in New York on Wednesday. Paxson called for the foul.
got I'm sorry. You have two outstanding coaches that kind of approach things from a different way, but accomplish the same thing in the end. They've got teams that capture the attention of the league. They play a little different style of basketball, each of them, but both feared by the opponents for what they do respectively, where you know that when you show up against these two people, you better be ready to play basketball.
And Stacey King hears it from the crowd. 8 points for Stacey. Bill Cartwright is back. On the subject of coaches, who mentioned the nice words about George Karl, knowing George's personality. He'll say, oh, we're just trying to cozy up to him because he's been complaining that Seattle doesn't get enough attention. You know that would be George's point of view.
Well, if they win this next game, they'll capture a little bit of attention from around the country.
The Bulls 79 and the Knicks 75. Yes, the Suns and the Sonics. Game 7 tomorrow in Phoenix. NBC will have it starting 3 o'clock with Showtime. 3 o'clock Eastern. Just under 7 minutes. Remaining in the 4th quarter. Shot clock at 5. Here's Pippen. Well, he thought it was deflected, but it was not, according to the officials. And it will be. Nick Paul will be come back following the timeout with 6:49 left in the game. Welcome back to Chicago Stadium, where once again the Knicks have had their difficulties at the foul line. They started with 9 for 10 in the first half. They're now 16 for 23 overall. They had the awful performance at the line in New York on Wednesday. We talked about it yesterday with Pat Riley, who has been exasperated with the Knicks' efforts at the line.
I swore that I would never do this in my life. I mean, there isn't a team that shoots more in practice, highly intense drills in practice, and then in between the intense drills, shoot free throws while you're in a state of fatigue than us. And, you know, it may come down to I may have to hire a guru to come in because I think it's all here. I think when you shoot as much as you do, it really is more of a mental thing than anything else. And, you know, so that may be the next step.
See, I told you, well, he needs a shot doctor, make it work. And Patrick Ewing has the shot doctor right there, knocking out that jumper.
17 for Ewing, and the Knicks are within 2. The Bulls 79, the Knicks 77, 6:20 remaining in the game. Michael Jordan has been very quiet, has not hit a field goal in 11 and a half minutes. And that was deflected short. Pippen pops it out. Shot clock at 2. Paxson flings and hits. John Paxson with 1 on the 24.
Gamble pays off. Leave Paxson on the floor.
9 points for Paxson. The Bulls lead by 4. Ewing sets the rec. Rivers for 3. Look out. Ewing able to get to it. Crowd wanted to travel. Now Pippen rebound. Michael Jordan is 8 for 22 from the field. He's missed his last 5. Missed his last 6. And a foul called on the Bulls as Ewing was pushed. Grant called for his second.
Desperation with the 24-second clock all the way down. Paxson knows that he's got to hurry and get it up to his right. With 1 second remaining, the ball is in the air. 1 second on the 24-second clock. John Paxson makes it. Underneath, Grant shoves Ewing in the back. Sure, he comes up with the ball, but can't do it that way.
Foul committed by Grant sends Ewing to the line with Chicago over the limit. The Knicks 7 of 13 from the line in the second half. The Bulls 81. The Knicks 78. Ewing is 2 of 4 at the line. The Knicks continue to struggle at the free throw line.
See how many passes Chicago throws. I think they called their 4-pass offense. There's 2, there's 3, there's 4. That's what they called out. They wanted 4 passes before anybody took a shot.
Pippen Scottie Pippen had a good, clean look at the basket and hit that corner jump.
Coaches will go to that when they feel that the ball isn't moving, when they're stagnant on offense. They want some touches in there, get everybody involved. Jackson made the call for pass offense.
Chicago leads by 5. Charles Smith, yes. 14 points for Smith. The Bulls by 3. The Knicks seeking to prolong the season, looking for Game 7 in New York on Sunday night. The Bulls want to wrap it and get a couple of extra days of rest as they wait for the winner between Phoenix and Seattle. Grant, way short. The Chicago shooting has been off here in the fourth quarter.
This is one of the things that New York banks on, that fatigue will set in against their opponent. New York feels it's the best conditioned team in the NBA. The big bodies are going to wear you down, force you to miss shots at the end.
Nice fake, but Ewing went short. He thought he was fouled. And Riley wants his club to get back. They do not. Pippen. Well, now the Knicks able to get back into position.
They escape, yes, they escape. A dangerous situation right there.
And Phil Jackson wants to talk it over. 3:49 remaining in the game. Bulls by 3. Reminder tonight, following your late local news, don't miss the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Late Night with Dave, and Friday Night Videos. It's all tonight right here on NBC. Well, the Bulls shooting showing a decline. They hit 11 of 17 from the field in the first quarter, but they've gone down 4 of 13 here in the fourth. And that man, Michael Jordan, has missed his last 6 shots. He's 3 for 9 in the second half.
Well, it's certainly something that Pat Riley mentioned at halftime. During the regular season, New York was #1 in the league, holding their opponents to just 43% shooting from the floor. At halftime of this game, Chicago was at 55%. They've done their job, New York, in the second half, reducing that field goal percentage.
They've also cut down on turnovers. Here's Pippen. Scottie Pippen thought he was fouled. Another big shot by Pippen, who has certainly made a habit out of it in this series. He has 21 points in all. The Bulls by 5. Ewing's pass nearly picked off. It was saved by Pippen, taken by Smith. And a palming violation seems to be indicated. Let's see, Jake O'Donnell with the call. And now in a conversation over at the scorer's table.
Pippen started to double team, got the hand out, then dove to save the basketball on the floor. Now we're just trying to get a read on what Jake O'Donnell's call would be. He was motioning that there was a turnover or carry of the basketball.
Apparently he said Pippen had taunted. The ball is being awarded to the Knicks with a new 24 and 3:16 remaining in this fourth quarter as a timeout is called. Here's another look at it.
The interpretation has to be whether or not he has possession of the basketball. If he had possession, then New York should be awarded a new 24. The interpretation was this was not a slap or a bat by Pippen, that it was a controlled save, and because of that, a new 24 seconds will be awarded to the New York Knicks rather than just playing out the time that's left on the 24-second clock.
So it's not a palm as we thought. It seemed to be the indication.
The motion that Jake O'Donnell was making, turning his hand over, meant that he felt he had controlled it long enough in saving it that it wasn't a slap.
Now 15 on the 24. We come up on 3 minutes remaining in the game. The Bulls lead by 5. They double up on Starks. Ewing around Cartwright. Rebound Pippen.
Again, another one of those missed opportunities at the front of the rim for New York. If they convert, this game is a different story right now.
They are on their feet here in Chicago. Jordan, he thought he was hacked. Grant able to get to it. Michael Jordan only 8 for 24. He's missed his last 7 shots.
Let's give Rivers some credit for pretty good defense.
Shot clock at 8. Shot clock at 5. And the foul called on Rivers.
And there's no question that that's a result of the last time Michael Jordan shot the basketball, he felt he was hit on the forearm. That's why his shot pulled up short. He turned, complained. This time Rivers hit with the hand check.
4 on Rivers. And a timeout taken. That's a 20-second timeout. So the Bulls are down to 2 timeouts left. 2 conventional. And the Knicks have their 3 full timeouts remaining.
Pippen had to go to the 20. He had no inbounds pass. Rather than lose a possession, he calls it.
And Chicago has come back off the boards after being severely beaten in the first half. 25-7 disparity. Horace Grant with 9 rebounds in the second half. 9 of his 11. And that has been the major difference.
Yeah, and that offensive rebounding, which was 12-1 in favor of New York at halftime. Right now, in the second half, it is 6 offensive rebounds for Chicago, just 2 for the New York Knicks.
The Bulls 85, the Knicks 80. 2 minutes, 15 seconds remaining, fourth quarter. Perhaps remaining in the New York Knicks season. Pippen, rebound Ewing.
Ewing is up. Ewing is after every one of those rebounds, understanding the importance of gaining possessions, trying to cut down Chicago's offensive boards.
12 rebounds for Ewing, along with 18 points. Starks for 3. Starks scoops it. He stepped out of bounds. John Starks stepped on the line.
Hustling after the loose. There's the right foot on the line while he's got possession. Good call.
No question about it. Rivers and Jordan in each other's faces. Minute 35 to go. Jordan fouled by Rivers, and now Jordan with some words for Rivers. And Jordan being ushered aside. Oh, Doc Rivers just went back at Michael Jordan, and they're being separated.
Talk about competitive people. Doc Rivers, every bit as competitive as you want on the floor. He's got an assignment. Do you read lips well?
No. Michael Jordan's teammates trying to settle him down now. That's 5 on Doc Rivers. Jordan is 5 for 5 from the line. This has not been one of the stronger performances for Michael Jordan. It's the other people that have done it tonight.
And Pat Riley has signaled he wants a timeout after this possession to get everything set up. Making sure there are no mistakes here after this free throw.
The Bulls by 7. A minute 34 remaining in the game, and the Knicks take a timeout. Time appears to be running out on the New York Knicks. Knicks and Bulls each have 2 timeouts left. It will be New York ball. The Bulls lead 87-80.
Three-point shooters for New York, Doc Rivers, John Starks, the 2 primary guys. But when you are down by 7, you'll take any score you can get if it's a quick one in a hurry.
The Knicks are only 1 of 9 from 3-point range. Starks 1 for 6. Knicks having difficulty finding a shot. Ewing able to shake off Pippen and hit, and looked like Pippen took a bump in the chin. The Bulls 87, the Knicks 82. Important possessions now as we close in on 1 minute remaining. Jordan had it knocked away. Paxson for Cartwright. Shot clock at 4. Here's Pippen for 3. Yes! Again, Scottie Pippen has hit the big shot.
Jordan.
On a shot for Scottie Pippen to extend to an 8-point Bulls lead. Remember back in Game 4 here in Chicago Monday afternoon, it was Pippen able to hit. This turned into a 3-point shot with about 2 minutes remaining in the game, and it extended the Chicago lead to 7. A crushing blow dealt to the Knicks, and look at that stat line on Pippen: 24 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, and here is Pippen doing it tonight. Scottie Pippen with 1:01 remaining. And if the Bulls hold on and win this game and take the series in 6, when it is all digested and the media looks back from the New York point of view, back in New York, the complaint about the Knicks will be that they did not go at Pippen in the same physical fashion as they did a year ago. There will be the feeling that they let him off the hook.
I'm not so sure I would agree with that. I think different situations are hard to compare to one another. He's having an excellent series. They've had some big bodies on him, bumping in, hitting him. He's made some shots where certain nights they'll roll in, other nights they'll roll out. He's getting the roll in this series, shooting 51% from the floor, 22 points, 7 rebounds a game, and almost 4 assists.
Here's Rivers taking it strong to the hoop, tipped home by Ewing. 6-point Bulls lead, so the Knicks get the quick bucket. It's time remaining. Michael Jordan drew the foul. Hit on a reach-in. Michael is 7 for 7 from the line. Foul committed by Blackman. The Bulls 25 for 26 from the foul line tonight. Here's Scott Williams replacing Bill Cartwright. Well, here's the cheers. 9 points for Cartwright. And again, did a good job defensively against Ewing. Ewing with 22 points, but in the first half was not allowed to get to the good position. 7-point Bulls lead. Ewing, yes, 91-86. And the Knicks apply some pressure, 39 seconds remaining. Jordan being played by Starks. And fires it down to Pippen.
Pat Riley told his team, come on, you got to go after him and get him. The clock is running down.
Knicks can't find the Bulls to give the foul. And Grant on the drive is fouled. It counts. Rolando Blackman with the foul. The Knicks could not chase the Bulls down. They could not get to them to commit the foul.
What happened was when the first double team took place, they got the ball out of their hands quickly enough before the foul could happen. Then Chicago kept the floor spread so well that they never could catch up to the basketball. Grant knows the clock's running down. He has to get a shot up somehow or he's going to lose the possession. And as seemed to have been the case this entire series, after those first 2 games were out of the way, Chicago's gotten every one of those bounces or breaks that they've needed.
Chicago leads by 8. Ewing, yes. Patrick Ewing hits again. It's a 6-point lead, but time is running out on the Knicks. Paxson backing it up, and now the foul is called. Or timeout. Let's see. No, apparently Paxson called for time with 5 and 6/10 seconds remaining. The Bulls 94 and the Knicks 88. We'll be right back. Is a miraculous turnaround. The Chicago Bulls are headed back to the NBA Finals. While for the New York Knicks, it's been an exciting impact season. 60 victories, top record in the Eastern Conference. They've come a long way in 2 years. Their best season in 20 years under the leadership of Dave Checketts and Ernie Grunfeld, Pat Riley, in particular when you consider the revamping of the roster over the past year, but they've fallen short raising the questions. Is it that Patrick Ewing still does not have the complementary players surrounding him, or is it Patrick Ewing, although an excellent all-star performer, still not able to rise enough to bring his team to the next level? Or is it at this stage of his career, despite all the off-the-court potential distractions, is it just impossible to defeat Michael Jordan?
I'd like to say that it's probably much more the last thing about the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan than it is anything to do with the Knicks. Patrick Ewing has showed that he is a superstar. He has stepped up and been a leader this season for the New York Knicks, both on the floor and off. Every one of these other players should be commended for the commitment that they have made under the Riley system and program, and it's paid dividends. One thing they will feel is a sense of pride, disappointment that they didn't advance to the finals, but after 2 years, there's not one of them, front office included, that should regret what they've accomplished.
But I can see one change coming up. That man will have a free throw shooting guru in training camp. Hey, what are you doing next? No, I'm busy. Look at that stat. Last 15 years, 106 teams have been down 0-2. 3 have come back to win the series, make it 4. The Chicago Bulls, as Scott Williams concludes matters for a 96-88 victory. And it is Chicago going on to the NBA Finals. Chicago will attempt to three-peat, trying to become only the 3rd team in NBA history to pull off 3 in a row. Ready? Well, for the New York Knicks, the season has concluded, and now the Bulls wait for the winner between Phoenix and Seattle. That to be settled tomorrow. Now let's go over to Ahmad Rashad, who has Scottie Pippen alongside him.
All right, thanks, Marv. Scottie coming into this series, so many things said. All the papers read that, well, we can beat the Chicago Bulls if we get to Scottie Pippen. That didn't happen. You paid big the entire series.
Well, we had to get a hold of this team. Winning in New York the first 2 games, it was tough. We never could get adjusted to their defense. We got back home, watched a lot of tape on them, and we made some adjustments, and it helped us throughout the series.
One of the things you guys never lost was your confidence. You always thought you could come back in this series.
Well, definitely. I mean, we've always been a good road team. We always had that confidence and that mentality of going out on the road and winning. And we're going to take care of business here in the stadium. We just had to get that win in New York.
As you look forward to this series, Seattle or Phoenix, which would you prefer?
Well, right now we're going to enjoy this big win tonight. So hopefully they go in about 4 or 5 overtimes and get tired before we finish the first game. But we don't know who we're going to be facing. It's going to be a tough series.
All right, Scottie, congratulations. Good luck to you. We'll see you in the next round. All right, back to you, Marv.
All right, Ahmad, another excellent game for Scottie Pippen, 24 points. Michael Jordan did not have one of his finer ball games, 25 and 8 for 24 from the field. Patrick Ewing, the high man, with 26. Well, how have the Bulls fared against the Sonics and the Suns? Well, against Seattle, the Bulls won in Seattle. And then here in Chicago, the Bulls won by 3. Jordan with big games on both occasions. So they went 2-0 against Seattle, against Phoenix. A 128-111 Chicago win back in November at Phoenix. Jordan had 40. And then March 30th at Chicago, the Suns won 113-109, led by Charles Barkley. That's the final. The Bulls defeat the Knicks to win the series in 6. And they are headed to another NBA final. A reminder, tomorrow, starting at 12 noon, the French Open Women's Final, presented by Coca-Cola Classic. Number 1 seed Steffi Graf going against number 5 Mary Jo Fernandez. And then tomorrow, Game 7, it'll be Shawn Kemp and the Sonics, Charles Barkley and the Suns, starting 3 o'clock Eastern time with Showtime. And then tonight here on NBC, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, late night with David Letterman, and Friday night videos. It's all coming up. Final score once again here in Chicago. The Bulls 96 and the Knicks 88. For Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad, and Hannah Storm, I'm Marv Albert. This has been a presentation of the NBA on NBC.